Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty fascinating, an invisible battleground happening right literally under your feet. We're talking about a massive environmental clash of geology, history, and chemistry, and it's all going down right under the floorboards and front lawns of your very own home. Let's uncover the hidden plumbing ecosystem of Brown Deer, Wisconsin.
So imagine this. It's 2 a.m. on a bitterly cold January night, and out of nowhere, bam, a pipe bursts. Water is just pouring into your basement. We've all dreaded that scenario, right? It's incredibly stressful. But what if I told you that this disaster isn't just random bad luck? It's actually the result of some very specific, highly localized conditions. Which brings us to the big mystery we're going to solve today. Why exactly are homes in Brown Deer so uniquely vulnerable to these absolute plumbing nightmares?
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for the explainer. First, we'll cover Brown Deer's hidden threats. Second, the aging home time bomb. Third, the laws of local plumbing. And finally, protecting your home year-round. Let's jump in.
Section 1. Brown Deer's hidden threats. Man versus nature. Okay, looking at the local geography, Brown Deer sits right in the Milwaukee River watershed. And this basically sets the stage for a crazy two-front war on your pipes. From the outside, you've got external forces like Brown Deer's super clay-heavy soil. It expands when it's wet and shrinks when it dries, constantly shifting around and literally crushing underground pipes. Throw in Wisconsin's brutal freeze-thaw cycles and those massive, aggressive tree roots searching for water, and it's a mess. But wait, the attack is also happening from the inside. The municipal water here is notoriously hard, meaning it has super high mineral content. Over time, that creates massive scale deposits and sediment buildup. It essentially chokes your pipes from the inside out.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how your annoying everyday plumbing symptoms actually map perfectly to these dramatic environmental causes. You know, if you hear a gurgling toilet and notice some unusually lush green patches of grass in your yard, well, the hidden diagnosis there is almost always tree roots that have busted right into your clay sewer line. Dealing with low pressure and rusty water, that points straight to corroded galvanized pipes. And if you're the one constantly running out of hot water halfway through a shower, that internal force, hard water sediment, is probably caked up at the bottom of your water heater tank.
Moving on to Section 2, the aging home time bomb, vintage pipes versus time.
This brings us to a really specific historical threat. A huge chunk of the homes in Brown Deer, especially around places like Brown Deer Park or River Road, were built between the 1950s and the 1970s. And let me tell you, that era of construction comes with a ticking clock. It leads to one of the most common questions from owners of these vintage homes. You go to turn on the kitchen tap and nothing but a sad little trickle. What is actually causing this massive drop in water pressure? The culprit here is galvanized pipe corrosion. Homes built before 1980 were pretty much entirely outfitted with galvanized steel supply lines. And over the decades, these pipes go through this really insidious chemical process. They literally rust and corrode from the inside out. As you can imagine, this completely drastically narrows the diameter of the pipe, basically strangling the water pressure before it ever even reaches your faucet. So if you're living in one of these older homes, it is absolutely crucial to watch for the warning signs that your plumbing ecosystem is on its last legs. Look out for discolored, brown, or rusty-looking water. Pay close attention to a steady drop in your water pressure over time. Keep an eye on slow-draining sinks, and honestly, this is the big one. If you have multiple drains backing up at the exact same time all over the house, you are likely looking at an imminent system-wide failure.
It's kind of like a giant puzzle where the pieces all break down at totally different times. To put that into perspective, look at this timeline. Because of Brown Deer's notoriously hard water, a standard water heater is only going to last you about 8 to 12 years before all that sediment just destroys its efficiency. Moving further out, those pre-1980 galvanized pipes usually hit severe internal corrosion right around the 40-year mark. And by 50-plus years, older clay and cast iron sewer lines are highly susceptible to total infiltration by those mature tree roots we talked about earlier. So yeah, it's a staggered timeline of inevitable replacement.
All right, Section 3, the laws of local plumbing, the rule book, and the fix.
Now, with all these dramatic, geographical, and historical problems, you might be tempted to just run to the hardware store and try a quick DIY fix. But actually, scratch that. Don't do it. In Brown Deer, plumbing is intensely regulated. The Wisconsin Administrative Code SPS 382 dictates incredibly strict standards. Whether you're swapping a water heater, fixing a sewer line, or just modifying drains, the village requires specific permits and inspections from the Brown Deer Building Inspection Department. Unpermitted work is a massive, massive liability. It poses serious safety hazards, it can completely void your homeowner's insurance, and trust me, it causes major headaches if you ever try to sell your house.
These building codes demand precise material science to keep everyone safe. For example, modern PEX tubing. It needs very specific support spacing and absolutely cannot be put in exterior walls without proper insulation. If you're using copper pipes, they require the exact right type of flux and solder for potable water. The village also mandates strict backflow prevention devices to stop gross contamination of the municipal water supply. And there are rigorous venting rules to prevent deadly carbon monoxide buildup from things like your water heater. Long story short, this is for sure not amateur hour.
Because the codes are so crazy strict, relying on actual licensed professionals is totally paramount. Elite Plumbing Milwaukee is a local expert that navigates these exact codes every single day. And they really hit the nail on the head with this. Transparent pricing means you see the cost before work starts. No hidden fees, no surprise charges. And honestly, when you're dealing with complex code compliance, knowing the financial scope up front removes a huge layer of anxiety. No one likes a surprise bill, right?
So the crucial point is that tackling these problems shouldn't be chaotic. The pros break it down into a super simple, transparent, three-step process. Step 1 is immediate contact and dispatch, because, as we know, a burst pipe at 2 a.m. really doesn't care about regular business hours. Step 2 is a professional diagnosis, where you actually approve a fixed-price quote before they even turn a single wrench. And Step 3 is completion, which includes rigorous testing to ensure it totally meets that strict village code, plus backing the work with a solid warranty guarantee. Which brings us to our final part. Section 4, protecting your home year-round. Winterizing and defense.
Now that we understand the threats and the rules, let's talk about empowering you. How do we proactively defend our homes, especially when that harsh Wisconsin winter rolls in? Well, 20 degrees Fahrenheit, burn that number into your brain. This is the critical temperature threshold. Once it hits 20 degrees outside, uninsulated pipes in your exterior walls, crawl spaces, and unheated garages begin to rapidly freeze, expand, and crack.
To stop that kind of crazy ice expansion, you need a serious winter defense checklist. First up, physically insulate those exposed pipes with foam tubes. It's super easy. Second, when extreme cold hits, open up your under-sink cabinet doors to let the warm room air circulate around the plumbing. Third, if temperatures plummet below 15 degrees, let your faucets drip just a little bit. Remember, moving water resists freezing. Also, keep your home's thermostat at a bare minimum of 55 degrees, even if you travel. And finally, always disconnect and drain your outdoor hoses before the very first freeze of the year.
But, sometimes the worst just happens. What if a pipe does burst, or your sump pump just totally fails during a rapid spring snowmelt? You have got to follow this emergency flood protocol to the letter. Step 1. Immediately turn off the electricity to the affected area so you don't get electrocuted. Step 2. Shut off your main water supply. To stop the bleeding, just cut the water right there. Step 3. Call an emergency plumber right away. And Step 4, before you even think about cleaning up, meticulously document the damage with photos and videos for your homeowner's insurance claim.
And this brilliantly illustrates our whole journey today. Let's look at the key takeaways from this explainer. Brown Deer's unique clay soil and hard water mean your plumbing is basically under constant geographical attack. If your home is built between the 50s and 70s, your galvanized pipes and clay sewer lines are on a literal ticking clock. When things do inevitably break, strict village codes mean legally permitted professional fixes aren't just suggested, they are legally required. And ultimately, rigorous winterizing and maintenance are your absolute best defenses to protect your biggest investment. Which leaves us with this final thought. We've seen how nature, time, and chemistry are all constantly working against the infrastructure hiding just behind your drywall. So I have to ask you, is your home's hidden plumbing ecosystem quietly approaching its breaking point? Don't wait for a 2 a.m. flood to find out. Assess your vulnerabilities right now, before the next deep freeze or spring thaw forces your hand. Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and stay curious.